like it's something in the air at that time. Don't know why. Always dream of you when spring comes. It's like the heat on my skin takes me back to the time met you on a Friday, halfway out at the door of the club, playing soul on the weekends. Stayed in bed till Wednesday, fell in love with you right there and then. I was young, couldn't see that. Couldn't see that. Leather jacket though it's too cold. Saw your face in the crowd and I think without eyes. Her she's perfect, yeah, she's beautiful. Never thought you'd be here, it took me by surprise. When I met you in the doorway, I had a friend of a friend. Never thought I would see you this soon, but hope she really loves you. 'Cause I swear you deserve everything. Wish that I knew that sooner. We got sober, it was over, but I told you I'll do it all over again. At your place or spring.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Badass University All-Stars, and we have come a very, very long way, but there's still quite a little bit of a journey ahead of us. Namely, tonight marks the conclusion to the regulation group stages right over here in Season 4, where we will be able to confirm our first team for a land spot at the Roehampton University. My name is Tudors. Alongside me, I've got none other than the glorious Jerry himself. It has been a hot second since the both of us have been on the virtual caster disc together, but I'm glad to be back.
Yeah, it has been a while. I'm always very pleased to be joined by you, Toodles. So yeah, some great games we have as well today. Very important ones, like you've mentioned, to do with who's going to go to LAN. You know, we've got our LAN finally, and it's not too long away. Only really 2 weeks. I was just looking at the calendar. I was like, oh my god, it's crept up on us.
It's literally around the corner. It's great. It's happening.
Seriously,
It's finally happening.
Actually literally around the corner for me because I'm in London, so that's really convenient. But yeah, it's going to be exciting to meet a load of people as well in person that I've never seen in person. It's so cool. Anyway, let's get on with the games today. What do we got? I think we have a schedule to throw up on screen.
We do have a little bit of a schedule that we can throw up on screen in case if you guys are just tuning in, you didn't actually catch the bracket or at the very least the remainder of the matches in our earlier scene, then we can go ahead and give you a quick rundown as to what you can expect right here on the live stream itself. So naturally, we're going to be kicking things off with Team Alpha versus Aces, and this is going to be easily the banger of the match. This is the match to look out for because both of these two teams, they're in contention for pole position, with Aces currently holding on to that #1 spot, sitting at 21 points, and Team Alpha lagging behind them ever so slightly with a 2-point gap. So obviously, Team Alpha, they want to get themselves a regulation win of 3 points to immediately confirm themselves for that land spot. Where things get a little bit iffy is if we go to overtime and Team Alpha may be able to get themselves... Oh, no, that's mathematically impossible because even with an overtime loss, Aces are still confirmed. So Alpha, if they don't want to go through that playoff bracket, they need the 3 points tonight.
Yeah, what's interesting though is that an overtime does continue to make things a little bit weird because Sleepy Gang, our second game for the day against Delta Badhand, they are also sitting on 19 points. They are just below Team Alpha right now on the head-to-head because they actually had to forfeit their game against Team Alpha, unfortunately, a while back. So what that means is that if Aces and Team Alpha does go to overtime, then that puts Sleepy Gang in a position where they can actually jump up to Aces. If Aces lose in overtime, then that puts Aces on 22 points, which is actually within reaching distance of Sleepy Gang, who have the head-to-head over Aces. If Aces win in regulation, they've got their time. They've got their spot. If Alpha win in regulation, then they end up on 22 points. And I do believe the head-to-head between Alpha and Sleepy Gang actually went the way of Team Alpha. They were the ones that they got the win there. So it's very complex, and it's all kind of backwards and forth, and there's lots of different things that could go on. But the simplest scenario is Aces win their game outright and secure a LAN spot. We'll work out the maths as we go along, because it's going to be an absolute banger of a day. There's also a couple of games happening off stream where it's determining who comes in the sort of top half of the table or the bottom half of the table, and that's really important because it determines the playoff seeding.
Exactly. So for those of you guys that aren't familiar exactly with how the teams are going to be divided up into the playoff bracket, we can give you a quick TLDR. So naturally, that first pole position immediately goes off to LAN. Then we've got a zone which is called, let's call it the green zone for right now, where people are all environmentalists and all that kind of stuff.
I like this.
That is from spots 2 all the way down to 5. And if you end up in that particular spot, then you essentially make it into the upper bracket of that playoff stage. And then the danger zone down below is spots 6 all the way down to 9. And because of the fact that Team Hotel left us very, very early in the season, all of the teams that are still participating within Season 4 of Bool, they get themselves a guaranteed spot within playoffs, but not necessarily one for LAN just yet. That's what we have the playoffs for. And then if you make it into that green zone, then you basically have a little bit more buffer room to work with as opposed to landing in the danger zone. That 6 to 9 spot means that if you slip up once during the particular playoff stage in question, then you might not make it to LAN. So obviously, teams such as Combat Wombats, obviously because they are one of the only teams that can actually sort of overshadow APO and potentially even Imperium of Mundum, they've got a very important game, which is, as you said, happening off stream. It's going to be their last shot at making it into the environmentalist zone and sort of not having to go through that lower bracket run. So obviously, what we have right here on stream is going to be banging, but also what is happening off stream, just somewhere in the ether, it is going to be just as important.
Yeah, and the bottom line is essentially that this group stage is coming to an end today, and we're going to have one team securing their spot at LAN. But everyone that is still playing has a chance to make that LAN during the playoffs. That is the bottom line. You increase your odds the better you do today, but everyone still has a chance. So, you know, there are some teams like, say, Imperium of Mandem who are, you know, they really only need a point to make sure that they have a good chance in the playoffs. And they may well sit back and, you know, hide some strats, make sure that they don't, you know, reveal too much. Obviously, playing off stream helps that somewhat. But it's just a kind of interesting dynamic you've got where this group stage is essentially for seeding, but that top spot is super valuable.
It is extremely valuable, and it is, as things stand right now, kind of up in the air. If Team Aces, they falter in regulation, then they might have to go through the playoff bracket. Team Alpha could take that up for the reins, and the same thing can go for Sleepy Gang once we get a little bit more confirmation as to what the head-to-head situation between Team Alpha and Sleepy Gang is currently looking. But yeah, I see you're rubbing your hands together like a little fly.
It's the final day league standings math. It's the most exciting maths ever. It makes me glad that I paid some vague attention in primary school and learned to count. Yeah, and of course the overtime scoring system makes it all the more juicy. Everything is up in the air. So let's turn our attention to this first game then. Aces versus Team Alpha. The two top of the pile. It's almost as though we've organised this league alphabetically, Tudors, because they're right up there and they're vying for that top spot on the final day.
Yeah, they are Team Alpha. They've, at the very least, been able to put up quite an outstanding show during yesterday's live stream, if I'm not mistaken. That was a little bit of a meme match that took place on Oregon against the likes of Delta Bad Hand. And obviously, they were just having a little bit of fun. They were goofing around during yesterday's broadcasts as well, pulling out shotguns all randomly. At a certain point, I do remember part of their initial setup was to bring out a clash with the Super Shorty as well. They were just having fun yesterday, but now they're going to have to actually buckle up and take things a little bit more seriously. And going up against the likes of Aces, which also is a very, very stacked team, we will eventually pull up rosters on screen in just a couple of seconds, but obviously you've got players such as Spack, Dice, Adonis, Matems, and Dumfries, which are no slouch. They are on that pole position for a reason. Team Alpha, though, equally as stacked with Mr. Joe, Reich, Aztec, Atlantic, and Trex. Now, I do believe that Mr. Joe wasn't actually playing yesterday. If memory serves me correctly, they did have a stand-in, but I may need to be corrected on that. Either way, those are going to be the 10 gladiators that are going to be battling things out in the arena, as we are still waiting for all of them to hop in the server so we can sort of get things rolling over here for what is arguably the most important matchup tonight and throughout the entire season.
When you talk about these teams and the names on it, I mean, there's such familiar names to the university scene and to Bull in general. And it's no surprise that teams with, Reich, teams with Spack, Soundanos, Dumfries, they've been the ones to sort of edge their way towards the top. And that's not to downplay the talent that's sort of scattered throughout the rest of the league. Obviously, Sleepy Gang, we'll get to them when it comes to Game 2, because they have seriously impressed. And I believe that or some players in that roster have had some recent successes. Syrup, I believe, just part of the team that managed to win in the SEL LAN that just took place, so he'll be on a particular high himself. It's going to be an exciting game when we do get to it, but I do believe we probably have the map bans to go through and see exactly where we are having our game on this game number 1, Alpha versus Aces. If we don't have those, then I'm sad. But if we do, then here we go. We've got the screen parting, and it's all very exciting. Oregon and Coastline, of course, we have auto bans. You'll know the drill by now. These two played these not even last week, yesterday. Chalet and Bank the first to go. So neither team wanting a kind of open attacker favoured map. It's going to be grueling, and I almost expect a clubhouse now at the end of this. Don't know about you two, yours.
It maybe could be a villa, but obviously we already got confirmation before we even got the map veto that it would indeed be clubhouse. I was trying to play it as a little bit more surprising at the very least.
I didn't look, I didn't know, so that was a genuine reaction and a genuine guess. I'm quite proud of myself.
So Clubhouse is going to be, Clubhouse is going to be our war zone of choice between these two squads. Fairly standardized as far as a map pool would be regarded this time around, and I do think that it is going to be, at the very least, the best bet for both squads to really give it their all and see if they can secure that one land spot. Now that we have, at the very least, closing the book on exactly which arena we will be visiting this evening, we can go ahead and dive a little bit more into these player statistics and see exactly how they have been performing, because we do have a couple of really, really interesting numbers to throw on screen as well in just a hot second right over here. And we will be starting off with the side of Aces to actually give them a little bit more of an in-depth look. So we've got Spack, Sandanos, who apparently has duplicated himself and has taken up that second it is supposed to be Vaps, obviously, and then we've got Die, Dumfries to round off the roster, with everybody on the side of Aces, at the very least, maintaining a very, very positive rating NKD, with the sole exception of Dumfries. I can really, really only assume that he is taking up more of that support role, or maybe just has had a couple of nightmarish playdays thus far. Really, really can't tell, but if you take a look at who is technically the top fragger, who can really deliver their own performances during these playdays, you're going to be looking towards Sandanos, who easily has the highest kill record of 43 on the side of Aces.
Yeah, and I don't know if it's kind of clipped off a little bit, but you can tell that these numbers are not, Sandanos does have 43 and 32 as a KD, not 43 and 3 as his first little sort of clone.
It's obviously a fraction. That's what's going on. It's 43 minus 43. 3 divided by the top half of 2, I assume. That's his KD.
That's too much maths for me to try and do, but we'll assume that it's a sensible number. But yeah, you can see, I mean, the KD on the left is probably the best thing to read into this. Everyone with positive, like you said, besides Dumfries. And I think Kairo's maybe just sent some bad vibes his way, and that's why he's not performing as well as everyone else. But to be fair, like, this is a team that have, they're top of the league for a reason. They're all up there, and if Dumfries is doing his job well, then that's just enabling everyone else here. And that has been the story that we've seen throughout these play days. There's been days where we've had Spack go off on one. There's been days where we've had Sandanos go off on one. It really could just be anyone besides Dumfries.
everyone besides Dumfries can show up. He's the only person that is going to be lagging behind. Hopefully, this last play day within the regulation group season is going to be, at the very least, his opportunity to finally step into the spotlight and put up the numbers that we would usually expect. Let's go ahead and shift gears for a second, because obviously we do have to go and take a look at the challengers, the team that is looking to rip the luxury of going to land first away from, well, the likes of Aces. It's Team Alpha, a relatively stacked lineup as well, with Reich actually outdoing the likes of Sandanos in the fragging department itself, hitting near 50 frags to his name. And certainly for those of you guys that actually didn't tune into yesterday's matchup on Oregon against the side of Delta Bad Hand, Reich easily top fragging in the server with, I think, a surplus of 15 kills to his name. And on the attack, he was rocking nothing but Finka the entire time on the defense, casual Jaeger stuff, just roaming around with the 416C and just treating Oregon as his playground. So Reich is definitely going to be one of the players that you have to keep your eye out onto. And then everyone else on the side of Team Alpha, Mr. Joe, Trex, No Atlantic, relatively equalized out ratings and overall statistics, with nobody necessarily lacking too far behind, with the exception of Macy, who is just joining us at the very last play-day. But yeah, he is a stand-in and maybe doesn't have any record. I don't know.
Well, of course, you know, this doesn't tell the whole story, because the ratings on the side of Aces were so high. Everyone with a positive KD besides Dumfries, and here it's you know, everyone here also has a positive KD, but it's quite clearly Reich that's doing a little bit more of the heavy lifting, and that's absolutely fine. It just shows that the success doesn't come with any particular formula in Siege. You know, these are both top tier sides right now. They are playing very, very nicely within this league, and the reason that we're at the final play day and this is still such an important game is because it's so close, and because these performances have left each of their teams with only one loss throughout the season. It's really just the only thing separating them is that Aces have managed to avoid overtime this entire season, gaining only regulation wins or losses. So we are finally ready to head into bar, and will we see? I mean, bar, clubhouse. It's basically just one big bar, right? It's built around the bar. That's why it's a clubhouse, right? You have a massive bar.
It's easily one of the best clubhouses to go and spend your bachelor party at. I mean, heck, it's got a pool table. It's got a cash room upstairs that I think is just up for grabs. Anyone can go in there and take it. You've got a garage if you want to try to fix up a couple of old, classic old cars and bikes and that kind of stuff. It has a plethora of different activities that you can do for your bachelor parties. It is a great place to be. But
I mean, it's got a strip club, right?
It has got a strip club. And
we always forget about the strip club, because like nothing really happens. I wanted to
keep it PG-13, but now the cat's out of the bag.
I want to say something really bad there. I'm gonna refrain from doing it. We've got some.
Yeah, you'll get your chance during the next clash. Don't worry.
Speaking of clash, we've got some funky bands going on here. These are basically ranked bands. Interesting to see the Clash and the Jackal be banned out in comp on Clubhouse. I mean, you think of somewhere maybe like Villa, and that's you know, those two are fairly sort of not conventional bands, but I'd say acceptable bands. Here it's a very odd one to go, odd pair to go with. So I'll see how Aces stack up here. Maybe they're just feeling really confident. Just a quick reminder, of course, this has stakes. Like, these guys shouldn't really be memeing at this point. They save themselves a whole week of best of ones, essentially, if they manage to top the league here.
Exactly. This particular matchup is nothing to scuff at. It is nothing to sneeze at either. Stakes could not be higher as we move into the very, very last day of regulation group stages right over here. We've got Team Alpha starting off on the defense, and surprisingly enough, well, Reiki is actually not going to be taking up that fabled Jaeger that I was talking about just a little bit earlier. He's instead going to be opting for the Malusi. Still, a well-rounded lineup for the defenses. We do also have that Thunderbird as well as the Maestro being taken up, and we also have Atlantic on the Bandit, which is a little bit, it's a little bit confusing given the current climate of Siege, where Mute usually is the heavily favored player, but I guess, at the very least, proven how good and able Spack was able to make that Bandit work in previous playdays, that I think Atlantic just might want to take a page out of his book. We saw, for example, it was like all over Twitter, I think, over the course of the last 2 weeks. Spack just getting multi-kills on social media with Bandit and just outright winning, like, plays of the week and MVPs, that kind of stuff. So I do think that Atlantic is going to try to one-up Spac's performance in that regard.
Attacker's objective is to locate a bomb.
I think it also has something to do with the fact that Mute has seen a bit of a downturn since his recent nerf, and on this map in particular, this site in particular, he doesn't have nearly the same value and utility that he used to bring, because you can of course place whatever you need near the top of those breaches, near the top of those walls, be it pellets or exothermic charges, and bypass the Mute Jammer entirely. So the Bandit with the Kaid ban is really the only surefire way to provide any sort of wall denial that won't be bypassed. That being said, with the Clash ban and the Jackal ban, oh sorry, with the Jackal ban and the Thatcher ban, we have Maverick in play, and we can see Dumfries just bypassing it entirely by himself. Of course, it does take a little bit longer, but he's taking a little bit of damage as well, some tickle damage from the electricity. But you know, it's only a bit of static. He's fine, I'm sure.
Yeah, exactly. It's not really going to technically electrify him, as it will be redirected over towards ground. That is what he's currently standing on, and for those of you guys that haven't passed your physics class yet, that is something you should learn about. Either way, though, back to reality. We've got Atlantic down below inside of Oil Pit, and he has been droned out, so that position has been rendered almost entirely unusable. Maestro Cam has also been spotted out, and it can easily be removed with a frag grenade, and Macy will be removed with a couple of ARX shots, courtesy of Digestive right over there. Not exactly as tasty as the cookies, but still can have an impact when required. Atlantic down below may be able to get the jump on a multitude of players. They're currently
Did you just call Digestives a cookie?
Yes.
Oh man, that's wrong. They're biscuits. They
I
are
mean,
100%
in the
biscuits.
Netherlands, we call them digestives. That is what is written on the box.
Yeah, but like, it's a type of biscuit, you know? If you here with your Americanisms and cookies, I'm gonna have to let it slide, because we do have a round in front of us, and Atlantic is an important piece of the puzzle here. As I say that, I seem to have cursed him, and that piece of the puzzle gets thrown out of the box. You're never gonna be able to complete it again. It's gonna annoy your grandparents, or, well, I suppose your granddaughters and grandsons for days or months and years to come. Trexno walks on into the site and finds Sound Down. There's a couple of trades coming through here. Down going through. Spac trying to plant, but Trexno just pops up with the speed. Found 2. The diffuser is planted. We're in a post-plant. Digestive makes a frag on the exit, and Spac has managed to fall back into rafters, but he vaults over the rafters and gets taken down. Now it's all on Digestive. How will the cookie crumble, Tudors?
I really don't know. He is able to pick up Reich as well, so he's able to relegate this back to a 1v1 scenario. If there is ever a time for the Alta to sing its sweet song of death, now's the time, Joe. You've got to land these shots, and you got to do it a little bit quicker. He will be revealed. Digestive has all of the information he requires to stick this one out, but he's fallen off the rappel. Mr. Joe is going to start getting this defuse on, but he will be read into a no! Mr. Joe, he gets the kill, but no, time is not on his side. If he had acted just 1 second earlier, he would have been able to get it. It came down to just a fraction of a second. He needed probably half a second extra to get that defuse on successfully, and Digestive simply ripped the rug from underneath his feet.
So close there for Team Alpha, and Joe in particular. Oh my goodness me, what a round. That was only the first round, Toodles. We have a whole dang best of 1 ahead of us, a whole remaining like map. And if the first round is anything to go by, then we have a treat in store, and it's a chocolatey treat. So what's your favourite type of Digestive? Is it a chocolate covered one or a plain one? Which
usually it's going to be a chocolate covered one, but I'm not necessarily all too picky with Digestives biscuits in general. My only rule is that it has to have a smelted marshmallow in between 2 of them.
Oh, what? That's very specific.
S'mores, bro. I'm a fan of s'mores.
You're a fan of s'mores.
Who isn't?
I mean, s'mores
It's
are
like,
great, but like,
yeah, they're
a
amazing.
They're a bit inconvenient. You know, sometimes you just want the biscuit by itself.
You're a weird breed if you want the biscuit by itself. Always stick it with marshmallows.
I'm British, man. Like, we eat biscuits like no other. It's insane how many biscuits we can get through in a day. I remember back in the day, I'd sit there, a whole pack of hobnobs, chocolate hobnobs, and that would be like my breakfast. Like,
wow.
That. I don't know.
I mean,
I was a weird kid. Like that was. That was the kind of breakfast. That was the kind of breakfast I had. I had a sleepover, and then I was like, "Hey, we should go and like get food." And we, instead of raiding the cupboard, we just go out to the high street and be like, "Yeah, hobnobs. That's the play."
Hobnobs always going to be the play. At the very least, for me, it was Oreos growing up. That kind of stuff would always slap, and you can never go wrong with the Oreos. Double cream Oreos, my absolute faves.
I feel like we've touched upon a really hot topic here that is going to sort of light a fire under chat. I would not be surprised if there's a massive debate taking place in chat right
Honestly, take it a step forward. We'll get Fungus on the line and ask him to put up a poll on Twitter. That's the way to go about it.
Maybe he should. So, 40 seconds into the round, you can see Reich is doing some work inside a swamp. This is basically the playmaker position when it comes to a catch defense. You expect Reich to try and grab a kill here or there, especially with this breach open and Vabs staring down this long sightline. He's playing this very nicely, giving himself all the advantage here against the Melusi, who is basically in, she has to hit a headshot from this range.
Yeah.
There's no other way to down or kill anyone. Sandanos looks to be getting in somewhat close. No, he's outside. Excuse me. So yeah, Reich is just alone here. He's waiting for the opportunity to come his way. Dumfries taking a little bit of damage, doing his job. It would seem perhaps a stray bullet or C4 coming out of that little breach hole he's making on the server wall. But for the time being, it seems as though they have managed to get that wall open, and it is Vabs who finds that opening frag from outside, very nicely held on the flanking bandit.
And there is going to be one extra person down below to take up the reins. I can only assume that is Trexno with the spear in tow, as Vaps is going to continue to try to duel things out down below, but realizes that it's all but forfeit, so he will head on back to join in on the fun, as Mr. Joe is that next to actually fall. And I'm not exactly sure if he's close by one of those healing stations. At the very least, he will be revived back to 20 HP. Reich, willing to jump on this pony and collect a couple of frags. Finds one onto Vaps, but will be traded out by Sundonis, as Macy, providing overwatch from the rafters, will be able to claw it back to an even playing field for Team Alpha. This bomb site has yet to fall, but Digestive will fall instead. Now Aces, with a distinct man advantage, have got to claw their way back. It's all down to Spack and Dumfries. HP advantage sits with Team Alphas. They do have a couple of avenues to work with, but Garage Control is still sitting with Team Alpha, so if Aces want to pull off this round successfully, they need to shut down Mr. Joe, which they will be able to do, but Macy, still in control of Rafters, will be able to successfully collect the trade, leaving Spack all on his lonesome to barge into the bomb site. Spots out one player over by Red, but Trexno is simply too good. With that spear, he is able to pick up yet another frag, I believe totaling up to 3, if not 4, thus far in the opening 2 rounds, being the backbone of Team Alpha and really ensuring that he can drag the rest of the squad over the finish line when it's most needed.
Yeah, and it is that red stairs position that he's made his bastion, and it's just so solid with that AR in hand, the only operator on defense really to have an assault rifle that can really pack a punch at that range. And so it doesn't matter if he's not hitting heads, which he is hitting a fair amount of the time regardless, but
True.
It's just, yeah, a bit more security. He can take those fights multiple times, of course, being the Thunderbird, having the benefit of essentially guaranteeing yourself multiple gunfights unless the attackers land a headshot onto you. It's a brilliant way to utilize the operator, and you can see that they're leaning very heavily on him right now. It's also, notable in the previous round, he got a 2K from that same position. It was really only once he went down that it looked as though Aces had a handle on things. And, I mean, you've got to give credit to the guy, because he's currently 4-1 and just rocking it. They've given themselves a bit of momentum here. They absolutely need to be getting some rounds under their belt defending Clubhouse. And interestingly, Toodles, we're heading to Gym for our second site.
Indeed we are. We've got a relatively stacked lineup. We have obviously got Castle making his debut right over here, 2 rounds in, now technically 3. Obviously, he's got an extra Castle barricade to work with, so that is just another headache that the side of Aces will have to deal with. Thankfully, though, they do come prepared to try to combat the heavy, with Vabs maintaining the Ash, Sundanos as well. They can try to get some vertical destruction from below or from above, depending on what he's feeling like. And then we've obviously got only 1 set of frag grenades, which is surprising. Naturally, in this climate, you want to bring out more HEs, just because the lethality that they bring is simply unparalleled with any other kind of utility in the game right now. So the fact that they haven't brought an extra set of HEs is a little bit questionable, but we'll see exactly how it plays out. Vaps' early engagement makes contact, and, well, at the very least, his saving angel of Digestive is there to ensure that Vaps doesn't fall. First blood has already been drawn, as Team Alpha are relegated to 4 players, but they still maintain tons of map control. But we know for a fact that Aces are going to start hammering away at this hold instantaneously.
I thought that was a nutty flick from Vabs, but thankfully
So
it
did
wasn't.
I.
Yeah, Atlantic, though, probably should have been landing a couple more shots with that UMP, and unfortunate that now Alpha find themselves at a man disadvantage. The nades coming in through to try and get rid of this mute jammer. Reich, in the meantime, takes out Vabs, and apparently that's a good night. Didn't get to see it, and now, well, looks like Team Alpha, they are rallying. There's the camera that's been reading into the attack so far from Aces as they lose yet another body. 4 versus 3 in Alpha. They're holding firm. Reich, nicely done there from inside of Cash. Takes out Digestive, and now Dumfries and Spack, the lone remaining attackers, hard breachers, still with plenty of utility in pocket, and at least the nade work has been done, so Reich's safe haven of Cash is no longer that safe. He tries to peek on out and make something of it, but Spack is ready and waiting. So 2 versus 3 now. Some map control established, but T-Rex number 1 has managed to force his way into Cash yet again, and it's a little bit more dicey here with plenty of openings. Spack does capitalize on it, and the 2 versus 4 becomes a 2v2.
Well, Aces are doing a really good job to convert thus far, but they're going to need to go the actual full distance this time around for the round dub. Still, though, great strides have been made in construction, as well as Cash now falls to the attackers of the Aces. Macy and Mr. Joda hold down the fort. They've got 40-ish seconds to burn, and Dumfries will go for a full rotate as all of his exothermic charges have been expended, looking for a long angle, potentially over towards Mattress, but unfortunately enough for him, Macy was on the opposing end. He will capitalize onto Spack and immediately flicks over towards that master bedroom window, and he manages to get himself a double, immediately shutting down the hopes and dreams of Team Aces to salvage that round. Outstandingly played from Macy in that scenario, despite the fact that the rest of the squad lost their lives early inside of that overextension. Despite the fact that, you know, it ended up in a 2v2 scenario, I've got to say that Reich played the Cash hold to perfection nearly. Utilizing his impact grenades perfectly to impact trick those Icarus pellets, and the moment that the breach started going active, he didn't decide to hide behind Xbox anymore. He went for a wide swing because he knew it's either he is going to go down with the ship or at the very least try to stop Aces right in their tracks.
Yeah, I was crediting him in the previous rounds on the Cash defense, but I think in that round, Trexno maybe overset the mark a little bit. In a 3 versus 2, at that point, just forgo Cash control. Like, fall back, join the team, play the numbers. Thankfully, Macy was there to clean up with a nice little 2-piece at the end, but it probably shouldn't have been that close, given that it was a 2v4 at one point. You can maybe forgive Reich for trying to swing that coming out, but he also had the option to fall back realistically. It was maybe just a little bit too close for comfort there, but Alpha, they did the job regardless. So they find themselves in that 2-1 scoreline, and we're heading now to the basement. I do wonder whether we'll see a bar stage defense at some point. Maybe one of these teams will be, you know, pulling a GC. I saw a lot of them over the weekend just deciding to play every single bomb site available to them on every map, and it was quite funny, but, you know, it didn't always work. I doubt that that's what we're going to see here, though.
I doubt it as well. It would be a treat to behold if Team Alpha just decided to give us a full tour of Clubhouse, because, hell, it's been so long since we've seen a bar stock defense, aside just right here in Bull, to be fair, so it would be quite a treat to behold.
I do like them. I like seeing teams being inventive, but maybe at this point in the season, it's something that if you have it in your back pocket, now is not necessarily the time to pull it out, because you've got the playoffs potentially, and of course the LAN at the end of the season. That being said, this game does hold so much value, as we have stated, because it does mean you get to skip that whole week of best of ones in the playoffs. So, everything to play for.
Stakes are high right over here. Team Alpha looking to complete a successful site rotation as they have headed back down towards that basement side. Although kitchen control has been forfeited, Sundonis is going to make that his own little sandbox right over here as he puts that skeleton key to good use. At the very least, trying to come up with a couple of angles and maybe prevent the likes of Reich going for some impact tricks over towards that kitchen hatch. But that is the only set of impacts that they have utilized or brought out, and I think they have been spent on creating rotations. Either way, it really doesn't matter, as Trexno will be able to find the opening frag onto Spack over by Adam, surprisingly enough, and he's hungry for a little bit more. His jowls may be salivating, but nobody's on the receiving end to meet him just yet. Still, though, impact has been made, and on the side of Aces, they have lost one of 2 crucial hard breachers.
Yeah, and Vabs is sort of hovering around that stock area, but it doesn't look like he wants anything to do with the roaming Trexno right now. Instead, he's taking up that flank hold role while Soundownos and co get to work on the kitchen. Trexno, though, is starting his own flank, moving through bar. do wonder whether they have a read on this. It's going to be up to Vabs to keep him at bay. Dumfries takes a lot of damage. I do believe that's a dirt push that's going on and being melted before our eyes. It looks like the FO12 and the Ela in itself just doing all the dirty work. Trexno finally strikes with this flank, taking out the flank hold of Vabs. Looking the other way, and now Sandanos in a 1 versus 4 after getting that refrag. It's going to be a real tough job for the Buck. Virtually a formality now as Team Alpha look to seal out their 3rd defensive round.
Indeed they do. Trexno, despite the fact that he wasn't able to close off the frag onto Sandanos, that flank, it bore so much fruit. He was able to nab himself a double kill off of it, and the dirt push simply crumbled thanks to that FO12 telling, well, the side of Aces to F off 12 times in a row. Sandanos trying to make a little bit of magic happen, but he will walk into the awaiting arms of Rek with the MPX, and he will lose his life right then and there. So, a hat trick of rounds now gained. I wanted to say gambled, but you can't really gamble that. Gained by Team Alpha, and they will extend the gap all the way to 2 rounds. Team Aces, with each passing round that we have seen compared to, well, the opening round which they were able to grab, they have been on a little bit of a downward trend, not exactly putting up the numbers and really striking true at the heart of Team Alpha like they did in that opener.
There is space for gambling in Clubhouse, of course. You got the bar, you got the billiards room. You know,
yeah, and then I do believe you've also got... do we have slot machines somewhere on the map? I feel like there should be slot machines in church or somewhere else.
There isn't like a casino anywhere. I think they removed a lot of the gambling elements, unfortunately.
Probably.
But yeah,
I mean, we can obviously have our lovely observer TTL try to look to see if there is maybe a slot machine somewhere. I do vaguely remember it might be in the strip club. It might be in the strip club. That is that's the only other place that could come to mind. Yeah, see, slot machines.
Oh, there we go.
Right
yeah, okay, so they're right by... They're on the way.
Right by the billiards table, and...
There's... Oh, yeah, there's one there as well. Nicely sorted. So there's one by the billiards table and some in strip club. So yeah, you've got plenty of space for gambling here. But hopefully Team Alpha won't be gambling much with their site choices. We did speculate they might want to go down to bar and stage, but they're going to go with the much more safe bet of cash and server.
Indeed they will. This time around, I do feel like Team Alpha have at the very least been able to put Aces on a leash, so it is going to be a much more reserved defense from their side. They will be maintaining the exact same lineup. I do believe the only thing that has changed since that opening round is the presence of an Aruni. I can't exactly remember if we saw the Aruni in that first opening round, but I do think it is the only thing that has remained consistent.
Yeah, I don't think we did. We had Reich. I can't remember right.
Oh, it was on the Melusi.
He was on the Melusi, and Atlantic was on Bandit. So yeah, we've got a bit of extra catching utility here. Maybe adjusting to what Aces are looking to bring. You see a lot of throwables in their lineup. In fact, only throwables in terms of the secondary utility. And then on top of that, you've got, you know, things like X-Kairos pellets, which can be burnt by Arunigate. So lots to counter here and a good selection. But at least that utility is down, because so is Atlantic. He's out for the count and in a virtually unresable position unless someone on the side of Team Alpha wants to play the hero. It's very unlikely as Vabs looks to try and clean that one up.
Exactly. Not exactly sure why he didn't pull the trigger and why exactly he didn't move his mouse up. Maybe he plugged in his steering wheel for this round and couldn't exactly find the trigger on it. Not exactly sure. But Reich is going to be the hero this time around. He will successfully res Atlantic back up to 20 HP, so he can still have some impact with that pepperoni. But naturally, Vabs is on the case and has already caught their scent with one of their drones, looking to try to confirm the kill. Will be denied that luxury for the time being, as we have well and surpassed the halfway mark of this round.
And I mean, Team Alpha spent a lot of time trying to get that res through, but look at the timer itself. We've got 1 minute 20 remaining, and that roam game has attracted a lot of attention, a lot of utility, or a fair bit of utility from Aces. We can see Digestive, he's managed to force player out of Rafters at the very least, and now the kill comes through. Sandanos onto Macy. They have full garage control, they just need to begin mounting the stairs. This breach is open, but there is that Surya gate holding them at bay. If they wanted to make a swift entrance, then it would be at the cost of 30 HP. They do have that man advantage, however, and they're going to try and leverage it here with Spack forcing his way up through the rafters, and Sandanos now creating a nice walkable rotate for him. Spack carrying that diffuser and looking to try and get a default plant down. He does have to worry about the pair of C4s, but it looks like he's going to go straight for it anyway with 40 seconds remaining on the clock. Here comes the default C4, but it is covered by Vabs, and that is a great post plant now established by Aces. 5 versus 3, and Alpha have it all to do.
Indeed they do. In the 3v5 scenario, it is going to be more than tough. Pack your hiking sticks and boots because you have got a mountain to climb. At the very least, Trexno is looking to reassert a little bit of control as he takes out Digestive. He's got his eyes peeled over towards that rafter position, but no one there to greet them just yet as Atlantic is wrapping around the bomb chassis looking for some kind of opener. He will pre-fire Sandanos down, so it is back to a 3v2 situation as Vabs will strike. He will lose his life, but Dumfries is right there for the exchange. Atlantic in a 1v2 has got to be on the move to try to collect 2 kills, but unfortunately enough, we have gone way past the point of no return, and it's a foregone conclusion that Aces will pick up this round. I've got to say, it was made possible because of the extra emphasis that they placed on that garage hold. It was far too difficult to combat if you were one of the players in the shoes of Team Alpha.
Vabs knows the importance of that play he made, even sending a bit of BM his the way of Reich. Wow, I love this. I absolutely love this. It was a great hold that Vabs had on that main door. I mean, standard stuff, exactly what you needed to do to prevent it going off. It looked as though the plant was probably going to be safe regardless, but it doesn't matter. He was there. What were you thinking, Two Doors? Do you think he had a chance?
Sorry?
Do you think he had a chance with that C4? I thought it might have been a little bit shy of the mark.
Chance. I mean, the overall blast radius from a C4 would have definitely collected the kill onto the plant as it was going down. Obviously, because of the fact that it was directly underneath the bomb chassis, that won't really sort of block out the explosion because siege logic, and that is just the way the engine interacts. He was still in close proximity to lose his life mid-plant to that C4, so if Vaps wasn't there to collect that frag, then the defuse process would have at the very least been postponed for a little bit. So it was still an A+ play. I don't exactly know if it was the most impactful of plays either, because Aces still maintaining the man advantage. They could have easily just sent in another player, collect the defuse, confirm the plant, and then while that 7-second process was still ongoing, you would have effectively had a 3v3 gunfight scenario to work with. I still think that with Vaps getting that kill, it bolstered their odds at winning, but it wasn't the end-all be-all of plays for that round.
Back to cash. We've now seen this 4 times. So
yeah.
At what point do Aces, at what point do Team Alpha address the fact that this is maybe not their strongest site at the moment? They've allowed 2 plants to go down here, and I mean, it's a bit of a worry. It's a bit of a worry for me because
right now.
Oh, we're in gym. Okay.
Yeah.
What am I talking about? All right. Thank heavens for that. I'm glad that they've adjusted. Then in that case, as we can see, Vabs getting this entry on ready, and frag is going to sail past, but it looks as though Diana has that angle, and Vabs will be the one to pick it up. So a very nice entry going on from Aces. There's still intel being gathered here by Alpha. As we saw last time around, there were some interesting vault cams placed inside of server, but I don't think that is the case here, and now it looks like a pretty easy job to try and clear this utility. Once again, the nades being utilized to try and remove those mute jammers. Sundownos finds Reich, and that could be a crucial one because we know how much work he was able to do in cash last time.
Indeed, and he will continue to hold down the fort for as long as humanly possible, and Macy is actually willing to join in on the fun. Up the red stairs he creeps, and 2 frags he will find. Diffuser has gone down, and he has already got a macro to spam GN in all chat. Trexno willing to hold this down. He will die on this hill as well. We've seen Aces in this exact same position not even 3 rounds ago, where they had the distinct man advantage in a 4v2 scenario, and still Team Alpha were able to convert. Now it's amplified. 5v3 converted to a 3v3 for the defense. So much chaos already caused, but we will slowly glide into the eye of the hurricane as Aces have got a moment to breathe before heading back into nothing but just bloodshed.
So, 55 seconds left, 3 versus 3. We've seen Alpha gradually back up. T-Rex number 1, Trexno, has fallen back and taken out his own Thunderbird Kona stations to prevent any sort of benefit that Aces might have. Digestive has managed to walk his way into Jim, but Macy has those foot level holes to put down the Yana and now can turn his attention to the remaining task force on Aces. He gets the quad on course for the ace, everybody. He just knows that Dumfries is sitting round the corner. That is diffuser dropped as well. It's going to take a monumental clutch from the Thermite, but Macy, he is confident. He has the ambition to try and go for this ace. He has T-Rex number 1 behind him, inside of Logi. Dumfries just tries to go for the swing, but it will be the Thunderbird, denying Macy that ace, but more importantly, sealing up a wonderful split there for Team Alpha, gathering their 4-2 that they needed.
I mean, to be fair though, a 4-2 split seems downright average in the current climate of Siege right now, and has been downright average for many, many moons right over here, but this one felt so much more monumental for Team Alpha to win. Aces certainly gave them a run for their money, but the plays that we saw on Team Alpha, specifically in that last round with Macy being 1 kill away from being able to hit double digits within the opening half, absolutely monumental stuff. Simply going up those red staircases and pulling the rug from underneath Aces was easily the golden play, the silver bullet that won them that round, because we saw exactly how iffy that cash hold started to look when we saw the likes of Sundanis using that skeleton key to create holes at the very, very tippy top of the walls, and then we had 2 players with HEs in their back pockets. They just started tossing him through, and those ADSs that were inside a cache, they had already been burnt. It would have been a monumental task for the defense of Team Alpha to hold onto that overextension, and Aces certainly upped their game and overall clearance compared to the last time they visited that particular bomb site, but still, Macy, as in round number 4, as in the last round as well, he was able to provide impact when it was sorely needed for Team Alpha. They will be reaping the rewards, but now we move on to the side swap, and because of the fact that it is technically halftime, we do have a little bit of news to update you guys in Twitch chat over what exactly is going to be going on tonight on the live stream. So unfortunately, this will be our one and only game that we have to offer you because of the fact that Sleepy Gang has chosen to forfeit their match against Delta Bad Hand. And because of the fact that they will forfeit their match, technically puts them out of contention for hitting 22 points and maybe nabbing that kill. I mean, not the kill, but the pole position here in Season 4.
I think we might need to get a bit more confirmation on these facts, Tudors, as I'm just being told that there's some differences to the standings and some of the communication a little bit mistaken. So we'll get back to you on that about who exactly is through. But for the time being, this game is still as important as it always was. Aces and Team Alpha fighting for that top spot. When we get back to, you know, a little bit more clarity on what's going on, then we'll let you know who is where, etc. But for the time being, Sandanos sitting on these rafters. He's got those Kona stations and positioned in such a way to help him with that hold. Something that so far Aces have been, well, so far, I mean, Alpha were very, very happy to use in their hold, but the positioning of the operators is slightly different here on the split. So Digestive holding inside of construction, and it just seems as though Aces, they want to hold ground a little bit further afield than Alpha did on their defenses.
And it's a little bit interesting as well that Team Alpha, they're not really batting an eye towards this garage hold. Not exactly sure if they don't feel comfortable maintaining the low ground and having to actually fight upwards. That's a little bit of a botched HE courtesy of Mr. Joe. Couldn't exactly get it through that tiny little hole that he drew. So instead he's going to forego tossing in extra HEs and just ensure that the wall will be opened up as soon as humanly possible. And I think he's missed a spot somewhere, not exactly sure where. He's going to continue looking, and it's right down there on his left-hand side. I believe that he needs to get to... Yeah, you nearly got it, son. Go on. There you go.
He's done it. Good job, Joe. Alright, so with 1 minute left, they have that breach open. That's not fantastic timing, to be quite honest, but Alpha do manage to find that opening frag. Sandanos still has Rafters control, however, and this is a problem for Team Alpha, a problem that they need to solve very quickly. No throwables in the hand of Trexno, but they do have nades from Reich. He's deciding to hold the angle as we see him scarper away. Sandanos just about managing to get back into cover, but he is still in Rafters. The C4 sails out, fantastically done, but Reich with the refrag from the frag grenade. Important that he did that with 33 seconds left. A 4 versus 3 in favor of the attackers. Macy sending his own nade up red to take out Spack, and now Dumfries has to hold the red push. Macy just storms on up, takes the head of Dumfries, too slow to react. Mr. Joe from the breach has the angle and manages to clean up for Alpha. They grabbed the first attacking round, and it was looking like they were running out of time, but boy did they explode into action when they needed to.
They certainly did. Very reminiscent of year one vitality that we used to see back in the day. And the moment that we looked at the timer and realized that they had just gotten the platform wall open with 60 seconds left, it started to get really, really close for comfort. But the utility usage on their side, being able to collect 2 kills with those HEs, you know, at that certain point, you just let your utility do the talking before you do it the old-fashioned way with nothing but weaponry. And I really, really love that from both the side of Reich as well as Macy being able to collect 2 HEs. This C4 was golden, though. That is a Hail Mary if I've ever seen one, and it was traded out back immediately by Macy's frag grenade. And then he just waltzes up the red staircase, getting himself yet another frag, just proving to us exactly how dominant a force he is to be reckoned with when he's got that Finka on the attacking side, collecting multi-kills after multi-kills. And he is really going to be difficult to tame if you're in the shoes of Aces.
I mean, we didn't have access to Macy's stats before the game, but I mean, look at them now. 11-2 after 7 rounds is an incredible stat line for any player. Reich having a relatively quiet day because Macy's stealing all the thunder. That's the second time in a row, second time in 2 rounds, Doodles, that Macy has managed to grab a 2K coming up red stairs. It's just that it was on either side. You know, he did it as the Jaeger flanking on the final defense, and now he's done it as the Finka.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, you can't really teach an old dog new tricks, so he's going to stick with what he knows best, and thus far, it's been putting up the numbers. It's been delivering.
I think he's younger than both of us.
Probably. I mean, I'm 21. We could be on par in terms of age. I really don't know.
maybe. I forget
maybe.
you're a little fresh-faced one.
I'm not that fresh-faced. Come on, I've been around the block for a couple of years.
Yeah. I'm almost 27. I'm basically a grandpa at this point in terms of casting.
Ha, boomer.
Yeah, I know, right? What is meme?
Meme is fun. Meme is happy. Kill is happy for Macy. Macy kill Vabs.
Vab's dead now. Bye, Vabs.
Zzz.
Finka hold flank. Spack hold dirt.
Dirt push no come yet. Drone maybe though.
Why say many word when few word do trick?
Don't know. Big word complicated for small brain.
Big brain Spack. Hold dirt with shield.
Tiny angle. Biding time. Hatch open now. It go boom boom.
No impact.
Sag. Hatch open.
Adrenal surge. Maybe push?
Attackers have located a bomb.
Smoke grenade block push.
Smart smoke.
Spack smart. Mr. Joe blocked.
Joe Sag.
70-second left. Timer no worky for Alpha.
Slow push, but 1 man up.
True.
Drone on Soundownos? Question mark?
Drop the bomb defuse.
Nope. Diffuser down. Sundana's frag.
Big play.
Huge. Sundana's win round for Aces. Macy, Finka boost. Collect bomb. Kill. No kill onto Sundana's. There it is.
Atlantic. Shooty head.
Pacific Ocean.
3rd boost.
Spack shotgun. Multi-kill question mark? No. He run.
Nade slow Joe. Whoopsie.
20-second.
Attackers drop.
Play-by-play too hard.
Recover the diffuser.
Frag.
15 seconds to go.
Macy double kill. Look bad for Alpha.
Reich. Find frag. Digestive. Eaten up. Atlantic bomb plant.
Zap!
Dumfries. Zappy zap. No zappy zap. Bomb plant. Alda. Sing.
Whippy. No here. So Alda. Only
Yeah,
small
one.
song. Only
Oh.
small song.
Well, I mean, it was basically as small as Mary Had a Little Lamb. Still, though, a really, really decisive take on the side of Team Alpha.
Yeah, very solid. And I think
Yeah.
that from that, we can probably say that Alpha are very likely to gain this entire map, which is quite something. 6-2 is a lot closer than... Oh, no, not a lot closer. It's a lot
No.
more one-sided than I thought we were
True.
going to get. Aces are a little
They're
bit
kind of faltering
underwhelming.
on their defense. They're kind of faltering on their defense, and I mean, specifically in that particular round, I think they hit all of the right notes. I mean, Aces were basically just playing as an absolute unit, and then when it came to the very, very last bombshell in the dying seconds of the round, we had players such as Sandonis maybe get a little bit too greedy on the roam, and players were just falling left, right, and center. Spack was playing Dirt Tunnel absolutely perfectly until he had to dip because of the fact that HEs were rolling on in. And he managed to waste a lot of time inside a Dirt Tunnel, but he walked right into a Kitchen Hatch Crossfire. I mean, Aces, they did such a great job of wasting as much time as possible, but Team Alpha, they can really perform under that kind of pressure. That's something that they have proven to us. They are 2 for 2 on attacking rounds right here. Make it a third, and they have taken this series 7-2, granting them, let us reiterate exactly how important this matchup is, granting them 3 points and overtopping Ace on the standings. And if they do that, Team Alpha have secured themselves a spot at the Roehampton LAN.
And it has to be a regulation win. So they cannot let this slip. They cannot let it go to overtime. If it does go to overtime, then Aces have secured their spot in the LAN. That is it. Like, so 4 rounds Aces need to win in a row to get that. Team Alpha, they only need 1 to get themselves an instant ticket to Roehampton.
Exactly. Playing a flawless match of Siege, well, while we have seen it happen, and we've seen it multitudes of times here in the Badass University All-Stars League, it's going to be really, really difficult for Aces to try to replicate that exact same success, given how dominant Team Alpha has been, given how dominant Macy has been as well. Putting up so many kills, 14 to his name, doubling that of Reich as well. He is an unstoppable force, an immovable object that Aces really can't seem to get a leash on. Still, though, this is Aces with their backs up against the wall. Their chance at directly going to land without having to go through the playing stage is on the line right here.
It really is.
4 rounds in a row is what is required, as you said.
I feel as though it's a bit worrying. Looking at their lineup, I was fearful that Aces were going to sit back and once again play the timer game, which we've seen Alpha has no problem with. They are very happy to very slowly chip away at the Aces defense and make their push in the final few seconds. But I do like the adaptation from Aces in terms of position. They have a rope. They have Digestive finding that opening frag against Reich from Garage, and he has Soundownos in tow for a potential refrag, which isn't even needed because they are both alive. So a 4 versus 5, and now Team Alpha do have a little bit of a tough cookie to have to get their way through, to have to bite their way through. And that's, I mean, before they even come into contact with Digestive, who is out here peeking from construction. He's got those impacts to make these plays, and he's going to be preventing a dirt push all the way from the top floor. Soundownos as well, preventing the kitchen push from the top floor as he tickles the feet of Atlantic, but misses a few too many shots. And that low damage MPX is going to just provide a bit of a warning for Atlantic.
He's still on minimal HP. If I'm not mistaken, he's currently set at around 45, 48, so he can still keep his life in tow. And then the Finka boost is able to, well, at the very least, top him up ever so slightly. Team Alpha making some strides as they were last round over towards that dirt tunnel. And I'm pretty sure that Spack can no longer contest it as he has exhausted all of his toxic babes. Still, Sundana's caught on the rotate, will lose his life at the hands of Atlantic, and we do have Vabs on the main staircase who is willing to go down with the ship. Macy, though, will be able to find the head of Spack, and he skewers him, putting us back into a 3v3 situation as Dumfries confirms the exchange with the Alda. 25 seconds left. Team Alpha looking to barge their way onto the bomb site. All Aces need to do is expire that clock, and it won't really happen. A collapse of Sea of Orange paints the kill feed. It's all down to Digestive to hold this on lock. MP5 to get the job done. The plant starts getting committed, and it will be shut down. Digestive finds 1. He only needs to get a kill onto Atlantic, who is so low on HP. Digestive will keep Aces alive for yet one more round.
And you can see the value of intel right there at the dev. Fresh red pings onto both of the attackers in the 1 versus 2. Alpha, they managed to get away with it twice, but finally the last minute pushes come to bite them in the backside as that Evil Eye proved to be too high in value for them to scrape yet another attacking round through by the skin of their teeth. 3-6 now. 3 more rounds for Aces to deny Alpha that instant land spot. 3 more rounds for Aces to steal it from them.
I don't know exactly if it's going to happen. I'm certainly hoping and banking on the fact that Aces will be able to get themselves an extra hat trick of rounds to maybe force us all the way to overtime. And even if, as you said, because of the way that we have our overtime points inside of Bool, if they get 3 rounds, they are basically confirmed for that land spot, because Team Alpha won't be able to one-up them with 2 points. Keep in mind, an OT loss still results in Aces walking away with a single point. Whether or not that is going to happen, I don't know. But these rounds from Aces need to be a little bit more convincing, to the point that they can demoralize Team Alpha into giving up 3 rounds. It is going to be a very, very, very tough nut to crack in this defense, because of how strong Team Alpha have been and how strong they will continue to be likely on this attack. They need to, at the very least, shut down players that have got bullseyes on their backs. We're talking about players such as Trexno, Macy, and Reich. If you're able to keep those under control and not really give up a couple of lives up for free, then I can surely see the side of Aces forcing us all the way to OT. But still, that is a question that for the time being will remain unanswered. That black eye camera was tossed in a very, very nice spot over towards that lamppost, but it has been, well, deleted from existence. So, Digestive is not too happy about that one.
Nah, completely dealt with, and it won't be a factor. But they forgot about the default, it would seem. And Aces have a full read on that push now. So, Digestive sitting beneath with a C4. He's also got Vabs in tow. And the camera inside of both Garage and Server. They are fully investing on the intel for this roam game. And if Alpha have forgotten about that default cam outside, then this is a plethora of information for Aces to work with. And I do fear for them if they try and begin to open up these walls, as Trexno seems to want to do. It is soft. He will face some flak through it and take a bit of damage. But at the moment, it looks as though most of the attack squad on Team Alpha are focused on that Jacuzzi side, as we already have a quite quick breach coming through on that.
Indeed we do. I'm pretty sure there may be at the very least one ADS inside a bathroom to maybe keep Dumfries alive for just a little bit longer.
But
if
no
they're
Mirror.
able to... Ooh, yeah, exactly, that's true. Mirror is available and it has yet to be brought out on Clubhouse thus far, which makes me a little bit sad. It definitely could have been maybe the missing piece of the puzzle for Aces in this defense, but we're going to have to see how they make do without her.
Mr. Joe holding this angle into Jin, limiting the movement that Vabs can make, but Macy as well on that window, basically forcing Vabs to only be playing in the rotate. And now Mr. Joe can turn his attention towards the bathroom, sending in some throwables, and that will force Dumfries out. Macy not on hand with the angle towards bathroom door to get it, but instead he is nading out Vabs. The C4 though, from the hatch by Digestive. Brilliant work by the Valkyrie, and Reich sends in a nade to find the Logi player. It's all happening all over the map. Soundownos is still holding on to Cash and just denying that highway right now. Reich is in Logi. He's forced his way in. Mr. Joe finds Dumfries. Now 2 versus 4. This could be Team Alpha securing their spot in the Roehampton LAN in about 2 weeks' time. Reich expects the flank from Soundownos. Now it's all onto Digestive. No C4. He's going 8 and 8 right now. He's going to have to make it 4 kills and an ace to clutch out this round. 20 seconds left, but the plant is going down, and now his location is known on main stairs. Mr. Joe is just holding F, and he is holding down the hopes for Alpha right now. He is securing them their spot, and Digestive cannot do anything about it. Takes right down on his way out, but that is it, everybody. Regular season over, and Team Alpha have delivered a killing blow to Aces at the death to secure their spot in the LAN.
It came at the 11th hour, but when it was most needed, Team Alpha, they strapped themselves in and were able to deliver a performance unlike anything that we have ever seen on Clubhouse thus far, in one of the most serious, highly anticipated matches thus far. And it all boiled down to Team Alpha simply being able to accomplish their attacks to a T. Players such as Macy and Reich and literally every single player on that team was playing as an absolute unit. They were getting multiple HE kills here and there in multiple of those rounds. I mean, you saw at the very least up to the point that we sat in a 5v3 scenario, those first 2 entries that they got courtesy of frag grenades. Team Alpha have thus far, at the very least in my mind from what I have seen in Season 4 of Bool, proved themselves to be one of the teams that can properly utilize their attacker throwables to perfection nearly, and it was just from that one game that we just witnessed, and it was a well-deserved victory from them. And as such, as you said, they will be able to quite literally leapfrog the side of Aces just by 1 point to confirm themselves that pole position.
Yeah, it couldn't have been closer. They needed a regulation win, and they got it. They were 2 rounds away from spinning it. That was very close. A nice attempt at comeback. 1 round, though, really, from Aces, not enough to do it. And, I mean, that was a fairly dominant performance, all told, by Team Alpha. Very nice stuff. Macy especially, like you say. He turned up today. He switched things on. And now, ladies and gents, I think we finally have our final standings for the season. I'm not sure if we can show them up on screen, but I can talk you through them at the very least. We have, of course, Team Alpha sitting at the very top with 22 points. Just below them in the 2nd to 5th place spots. These are the teams that will have an extra life, essentially, in the playoffs in the coming weeks. Are Aces, Sleepy Gang, Imperium of Mandem, and Average Players Only. They are the ones that have managed to make it. So congratulations. The way that the cookies have fallen today, a couple of forfeits and a couple of games taking place behind the scenes. IOM managed to beat Combat Wombat 7-1 in a game that was taking place during this one. And it means that Combat Wombats, Ludens, Delta Bad Hand, and... Oh, sorry, I've done this wrong. I have done this wrong, haven't I?
The CW, Ludens,
No,
DD.
this is correct, yeah. Yeah,
Yeah,
you're right,
correct.
yeah. Yeah,
And then
the
the ranked monkeys are going to be kind of in the danger zone, as we put it, where their life and just overall chances to make it to land within that playing stage is going to be quite literally on the line, as one simple mistake could potentially cost them a spot at LAN. But at the very least, Team Alpha, they no longer have to go through that... How do we dub it? I wanna call it the showdown bracket probably. Let's call it the showdown. Let's straight up just rip off Blast Premier and call it the Bull Showdown.
It's a difficult one as well because at the moment, I mean, Delta Bad Hand and Ranked Monkeys, they had a sordid season full of forfeits as well, should be mentioned. So my hopes for them are not that great. And realistically, it's Combat Wombats and Ludens that make it through the playoffs. Either that or Delta Bad Hand and Ranked Monkeys just decided, hey, this league stage isn't worth it. We're going to try and nail it when it comes to the best of ones and keep a load of stuff secret. I mean... They're playing the game, they're playing the league, right? It's a strat. But interestingly, I've just been dealt a very interesting little nugget of information about the way that those top 2 and top 3, in fact, worked out. The only chance that Sleepy Gang had of making it to land based off standings was if Team Alpha had won in OT because of the head-to-head matchups.
Yeah, that's true.
So it was banking on a fair amount, and they were probably watching this game in particular and deciding, whether it was worth playing later tonight based off this result. So after the game going that way, after Team Alpha winning in regulation, it would have been impossible for them to make that top spot, and therefore makes sense that they're not going to play tonight. Maybe just reserve their energy, keep some strats safe, and settle for that top half of the playoff spot sort of bracket, the green zone, as we've been calling it.
The green zone, exactly. It would have been a very, very low chance of that outcome actually happening right over here, but it definitely could have. I mean, we've seen crazier things in Siege, especially during the Mexico Major as well, where we had our first ever rematch to make it to that playoff bracket as well. Like, stranger things have happened, but at the very least, this is going to seal up the regular season of Season 4 at the Badass University All-Stars League in a nice little blood-soaked bowl, I want to call it, because truth be told, it has been quite the journey to get to the point where we currently are right over here. So obviously we do want to extend a massive congratulations to Team Alpha for being the first team to confirm their spot at the Roehampton LAN, and commiserations to Aces for faltering as they couldn't really bring the goods here on their clubhouse defense, and as such they will have to go through the showdown bracket to see if they can reclaim lost glory. But as always, we still have plenty of action that is going to be coming you guys' way in just the next couple of weeks to see exactly how the playoffs are going to be taking place before we move on to the LAN as well. So yeah, those 8 teams that have yet to confirm their spots for LAN, still all to play for, as we do have to crown 4 different teams that are going to make it to the LAN. It's going to be really, really exciting stuff.
Yeah, and I think that just about wraps it up from us here, Toodles. It's been a great singular game that we've gotten to bring you.
That was amazing.
Yeah, it was a really fun one. Thank you very much to our folks behind the scenes, Santa doing all the admin for today. And I mean, from what I've heard, there was a lot to manage. So really, really good, Santa. Noah and Time to Light, our observer. Thank you very, very much for being here. Thank you to all the viewers for having fun in chat, for making this league what it is and making it worthwhile. Very well done to the players as well. We will be seeing them in action fairly soon. So keep your eye on our socials and, of course, turn on all the notifications and stuff on this stream so you don't miss a single ball stream. That is that is it from us. Yeah, do it. Yeah. That is it from us. We're going to be going. See you soon. Goodbye.
Take care.